Paranormal Activity. So finally we are going to talk about these movies. I've been wanting to review these movies for a while, and that's just because I did review Next of Kin when this came out on Paramount Plus. We do have another one on the way, the final one from what Jason Blum says. We don't really know when that one's coming out, but yeah, I do want to review all these movies before the new one comes out, whenever that may be, and I don't know when that is, and because it's most likely come out to streaming, I'm just going to review them now, and, have these as part of my back catalog. So every Tuesday you will get a review for one of the Paranormal Activity movies, and, of course, we're starting with this very first one, and then we're going through the other 6 sequels. We're not going to re-review Next of Kin. I pretty much stand by everything I said in that review for the most part, except that I'm not a fan of this franchise. Because after watching this first one and kind of revisiting some of these movies, I think I've changed my mind on that a little bit. And the reason why is because when I watched this movie, I didn't really get where it came from, which is that this was a movie that people had shot for a couple $1,000s, and it was supposed to be like a mockumentary type deal, horror movie about, like paranormal being in these people's house. And like, I basically had the reception and response to this people most people do. I was talking to someone today, and they're like, this movie, I was saying, hey, I'm watching Paranormal Activity, and they're like, oh, a classic. I'm like, can we call this movie a classic? Because this movie doesn't have a good reception anymore. And the reason why is because the backstory is simple. The movie was made for a few $1,000s. Paramount picked up the distribution rights, put out this movie. The only thing that they did really to put any real money into this movie was they marketed the movie and distributed it, and also they fixed the sound quality to the movie, because I guess the original version was kind of all screwed up with the sound. But yeah, this movie was an interesting movie because it was very real and feel and stuff, and it kicked off this whole found footage genre. And so, like, the reception of this movie is more the reception of the found footage genre. It's crap. It's not good. It's a way to make cheap and lazy horror movies. And then you have also the reception of the sequels that add on to that. So this movie is not the reception of this movie, it's the reception of its sequels and things like that. So it's not really a classic anymore. Blair Witch is still a classic and stuff, but this one I would say isn't because of that. But I gotta say, this is a very effective horror movie because it is very claustrophobic. You're watching all this from actual security cameras, and they're not security cameras, but like cameras that these people are carrying around. And it's really smart because, every good found footage movie you need to understand why these people are carrying around a camera at every second. And you understand why the couple in this movie is carrying around a camera at every second. They capture all these stuff that's really creepy and really effective. There's a lot of great atmosphere to it, and I'm also glad I mentioned it, that they fixed the sound for this movie, because the sound design of this movie is fantastic. Every time a doorbell rings or something starts moving around, it is very tense, very creepy, very scary at several points, because the sound design is just that good. It's just really effective, and just the atmosphere and tones of the vibe of this movie, the filmmaking on display. It's just a really awesome movie that is great for what type of movie it is. I know some people see this on the lower end of movies, but it's really not. It's a pretty interesting movie in terms of what it was able to do, and the genre that it was able to create. And I can't wait to talk about this franchise.